Hello and welcome back to All of Us Are Poets. I'm Kali, and today we're going to talk about metaphor, which is language that implies a relationship of which similarity is a significant feature between two things, and so our changes our apprehension of either or both. Let's look at some examples, shall we? First example is Shakespeare's Sonnet 18, Shall I compare thee to a summer's day, which is a fairly overt metaphor. And our second example is Emily Dickinson's Hope is a Thing with Feathers, which is a less overt metaphor, and we're going to talk about both. Let's start by reading Sonnet 18. There'll be a link in the description to the full text if you'd like to follow along. Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's leaf hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Again, the link to the full text will be in the description. This is Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept me so warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. What Dickinson is doing is a little bit more complex, so let's take a closer look at the poem. By saying hope is a thing with feathers, Dickinson is indirectly comparing hope to a bird, and she continues with this metaphor throughout the poem. She says that hope perches on the soul, that it sings, and finally that it is a bird, directly. But there's another level to Dickinson's metaphor, because she is indirectly calling hope a bird, and by calling hope a bird, she is evoking something about hope. This is the essence of the use of metaphor in poetry, that you are trying to say something about one thing by comparing it to another. She compares it to a bird that has survived a gale in the third stanza, and there are many things that you could say about a bird that she is trying to evoke with this comparison. That it can fly, that it is free or untamed, that it is its own living creature. This is what is generally hoped to be accomplished by metaphor. So now we're going to write our own poem. I've got a little notebook, and I do always recommend you write poetry longhand because it's an easy way to feel closer to the words, and there's not as much pressure to edit as you go. I'm going to set a 5-minute timer, and let's write a poem using metaphor. And that is 5 minutes. I haven't titled the poem, so it's only on metaphor. There is something grassy here, something vegetal, even as the concrete is poured. New construction by the flood garden, wading through rising weeds on the way to class, and even in the winter they are not lost. Something is living here, and time passes marked or not. Even when I walk this route again, I will not be the same, nor will the land. Now, it's not exactly groundbreaking stuff, no pun intended, to use plants as a metaphor for growth, but it does show what we're working on here, that comparisons can be quite direct or they can be a little more circuitous, the theme of change not even explicitly coming in until the end. So that was our little piece on metaphor. Please feel free to post your own poem in the comments section. I would love to read it. Have a lovely day.